everybody, welcome to my channel. It is December 28th and I am on a schedule. I'm on a schedule and I didn't think I was going to be doing this, but it kind of just happened. It's like that time of the year when you like are trying to like save money and like, what do you want to take into January? What do you want to take into the next year? And I have so many subscriptions and stuff like that I've been kind of purging stuff. And I realized I've been paying for Everand and I just like don't get that much out of it. And it's like $16 a month and it's just, I want to get rid of it. The problem is I was doing like the 3 credit a month plan and they don't save your credits. And you cannot listen to your books or read your books, whatever you have on there, unless you have an active subscription. Don't love that. I don't love that. It makes sense because you're not actually paying for the books. However, I don't want the subscription anymore. So I have canceled my Everand subscription. I will get it back if I need it for like videos and stuff like that. If we're doing a lot of thriller reading, etc. That's a really good format. However, I am trying to move away from audiobooks for fantasy because I just don't enjoy fantasy books as much if I listen to them. I just don't. It is a fact of life. I kind of am trying to reserve audiobooks for horror and thrillers because sometimes I can even like them more if I listen to them in that format, and nonfiction is definitely a good audio format. However, I just don't need this many credits for things. I have my Audible, I have Libro FM if I really need to. I needed to get rid of Everand. The problem is, like I said, I've got 9 books to read before my subscription runs out. So I have about 16 days to read 9 books. It's not looking good. It's not looking good at all. So because of that, we're going to be trying to read 9 books or listening to 9 books in these 14, 15 days. And we're going to be blind picking them. There are 2 books in here that are for other videos. So if I pick them, I will say, hey, I read it, liked it, didn't like it, whatever. Go check out the other video whenever that comes out. It'll be more exclusively talked about in there. So I think the first one is Modern Divination, which is part of the September 2025 Reading All My Book Box books. That is in here. And then I think Bat Eater, which is a reread. Bat Eater is in here because I am doing a big project next year of rereading books that I either didn't like the first time or I DNF'd and potentially think that it just wasn't the right time or format that I read it. So I think Bat Eater is definitely a good example of that I think I could actually really love it if I just take my time with it and I get over that one scene. There's one scene that made me quit the book and I would like to try it again, slower audio, kind of really focused in on it. So those are the 2 that are in here that are for other videos. Again, I will say whether I like them or not, but they will be more exclusively talked about in those videos. But other than that, it is mostly either I have 2 nonfictions and then I have a bunch of thrillers. It's primarily thriller books because that's what I do audio for. So there's so many in here. There's so like 9 books. Oh, 9. No, I don't know what I was thinking. I've just not been keeping up with things. So I've got, like I said, I've got about 16 days to read these 9 books and we're just going to get to it and we're going to blind pick because I don't know where to start. Like I legitimately don't know where to start. So let's see what we have in here. I think some of the options are You're Fatally Invited. Like I said, Modern Divination, Bat Eater. I think I have The Writing Retreat, which is an older one. What else do I have? I'm not going to remember all of them. I should have had a list up for you guys, but you know, why would I do that? Why would I actually be prepared to actually do a video? So we're going to see what else is on here. I literally just wrote these, but that's just how it's going to be. So here is our first pick. What are we going to be reading or listening to first? It is You Are Fatally Invited. So very first one, that is an aardvark book. I do have a copy of it. And here is the book. So this is one last book that will be in the aardvark purge whenever I get to that. But I think this one, everyone was really, really excited about this one when it originally came out. And then after it came out, people were like, is this not actually good? And that's why I haven't read it yet. And it made me really nervous. But I got the Everand of it. And then I was like, I don't really want to read it. So here we are. Here we are with this book that I've had for quite a while. This says it's an exclusive thriller writer's retreat hosted on a private island turned lethal when one of the authors is found murdered in this twisty locked room murder. Oh, and that's really good. I think one of my little like things in my journal, reading journal, is locked room mystery and I haven't read one yet. So that would be absolutely perfect. So we're gonna go, we're gonna go listen to this. Hopefully it's fantastic. You're in the bookshelf, so you may hear the Texas game. We're watching the Texas bowl game on the other side of the thing, so I am sorry if you hear that. And I think this is actually the first time I'm showing the short hair on camera. I don't know if this is the first time you'll see the short hair because there may be other things that come out, but this is the first time I'm actually on camera with the short hair, and I just watched it. Thank goodness. She put something very perfumey in my hair. That's why part of the reason I don't love going to get my hair cut is they always try to style it, and I'm always like, no, I just want you to cut it like how I want it cut, and then just like leave it alone, and then you just leave it alone. I'm never gonna style it. I don't want it styled. And then they always style it, and I never like super love how they style it either. And she put something so perfumey in it that is like making my, like, I'm swelling in the face because it's making my allergies. And I did that, and now my eyes are itchy. I should not have done that. So even after washing it, I can still smell the perfume, and I'm like, oh my god, I don't know how long it's gonna take to come out. Like, I'm like so annoyed by that. But otherwise, really liked the person who cut my hair. I have her card, so if I want to cut my hair again in like 6 months to a year, I'll see if she's still there. But anyway, we are here to talk about the very first book that we attempted to read for this video, because I can tell you right now, I have spent the last 2 days all of my time trying to read this book. I have fallen asleep 4 different times reading this book, and like you saw earlier, it is You're Fatally Invited. I can't do it anymore. I can't do it. I've been trying to read this nonstop for 2 days. I literally was just asleep before I took a shower. I fell asleep for 3 hours reading this book. I'm at 60% and I just cannot go on any longer. And I don't think it's necessarily a bad book. It's just definitely not my style of mystery thriller. It is a very Agatha Christie heavily inspired type of book. So if you love Agatha Christie books, if you love those types of twists, if you really like that format of the book, that type of writing, a ton of characters that all have their own motivations and stuff like that, if you love that type of book, you'll probably really like Fatally Invited. If you're not a fan of an Agatha Christie style book, then I would avoid this one. So again, I don't think it's necessarily bad. I just think it was very convoluted to the point of me having to reread it multiple times because I could not follow it. I could not follow this book for the life of me. And so unfortunately, that does mean it is a DNF at 60%. I'm trying to think of other things to say about this book, but I legitimately have nothing else to say about this other than that it didn't work for me because it's fun. So it is following multiple different characters. You are mainly following this one character, Mila, and they're at this, it's like a locked room murder mystery thing. There's 6 different writers and they've all done something. It's very Clue. If you've watched Clue, you probably have read this book, basically. It is kind of a very similar vibe. And that's funny because Clue is actually one of my favorite movies. It's also one of my favorite board games. I'm obsessed with it. I think this would make a fantastic movie, but for my brain, it just doesn't work as a book. People are dying and there's like blackmail and everyone sucks. They've all done something in their life that is bad. They've been invited to this like isolated writer's retreat, and that's kind of all it is you just trying to figure out who or whom or the many who are doing things. It really is just Clue. It's Clue / Agatha Christie. So that's all I got for you. I don't care. Like I woke up and I was like, ugh, I'm gonna have to go back like 100 pages. And then my brain said, are you? Like, do you really care enough to go back again? Because this would be like the 3rd time that I'd have to go back in the book and restart stuff. And I said, no, I don't really care. I don't really care. So then I did look up what happened, and I'm glad I did not continue it because it was crazy. The ending is all over the place. So if you were able to get through the book for the payoff at the end, maybe you'll like it, but otherwise, nah, it's just not worth it for me. So let's try and pick the next one. Hopefully this one goes better. I really don't want a thriller mystery, but I think most of these are thriller mysteries. So I'm kind of hoping for one of the memoirs. I think that could be a lot more fun right now to do a memoir. Ooh, I probably shouldn't have put it right there because that's right where all the sound is. So let's see, what is this? Oh yes, that is one of the memoirs. Okay, The House of My Mother. So this is a very interesting one. This is actually following, I did not follow these people on YouTube, but this is following specifically the girl, I think she's the eldest. I don't know, she might be second eldest or eldest. I don't remember. It's either her or her brother or the oldest, but it's this YouTube family. And the mom like controlled everything that the family did, and she showed her kids on YouTube and was like forcing them to do stuff and act for the camera. And they were a huge channel. So basically there was a lot of abuse that was actually going on behind the scenes, and it turned into this giant court case because one of the kids, like it's a memoir, there's no spoilers happening. One of the kids, so the older kids got out basically, and then the younger kids were kind of stuck there, and one of the kids showed up at someone's next door house, and it turned out like he had like marks on his wrist, like tape and stuff, and he was emaciated. And it turned out like she became friends with like this health guru person, and that person moved into the house. She kicked the husband out, and these kids were being abused, and she was like claiming like one of them was like possessed and stuff like that. It was insane. So it turned into this giant case that nobody saw coming. So this is the memoir by the daughter who has experience on all this stuff. So I'm actually really excited to listen to it because I did watch like the Netflix documentary about it, but I think it would be really nice to just see her perspective, not with any spin from Netflix, because Netflix definitely focused more on like the true crime aspect of it than like the emotional impact it had on one of the older siblings. That sounds really, really good. I think it's gonna be much better for my brain than You're Fatally Invited. So we are gonna go read, what is it called again? The House of My Mother. Just finished The House of My Mother, and I don't rate memoirs unless they are like 5-star, new favorite, etc. So I'm not gonna rate this one, and we're gonna talk about it very carefully. So it was exactly what I kind of was expecting it to be. I will say though that if you watched the Netflix documentary, there isn't too much more in this memoir that really adds a lot of stuff. Like she definitely took a more, here are the things that happened, not necessarily her feelings and her entire perspective about what was happening. So it was more of a factual kind of book. There was some emotion and things, but you can still tell she is very like detached from the situation, which is probably for the best, to be honest. But it definitely was one of those where you don't feel like you got anything extra out of this if you already know like the criminal case. This book does feel like it was more of a, I feel like I need to write this than a, I want to explore my feelings and this is gonna help me heal kind of book. Like the Britney Spears book, that was like a, I'm telling this story because no one knows it, and I feel finally like everyone needs to know what really happened, and that was why it was so compelling. Similar with Dinner for Vampires, it was very, that one was middle. That was like, that had a little bit of the factual stuff in it, kind of detached, but it did still go into things that was like, no, I need to write this because nobody knows what really happened, and I need this to heal. This book didn't feel that way. This book felt like we were just going through the motions of what happened. It's still good. Like if you don't know anything that happened in the case, like I definitely would recommend reading this. Oh God, see, I just got my haircut. I talked about it. Just got my haircut, and I don't think I like it. I don't think I like it very much. She didn't do as many layers as I wanted, and so my hair is kind of laying flat. Like it looks fine like this, but like the second I like, and I did just wake up, I was sleeping on it, but like, I don't like that how it looks. I wish she had done more like layering. Like it's too, like there's, yeah, see, I didn't want that. I wanted it to be like up here. So anyway, so I'm not like the happiest with this haircut. We'll see when it grows out. I might have to get it cut sooner than I normally do. Anyway, yeah, it was good and interesting. I do think the best part of the book is like the early stuff where you don't know as much about what was going on with like the kids stuff. It's good to get her perspective on that, but again, we still learned a lot about that like in the Netflix documentary. It does feel like whoever did the Netflix documentary had a hand in whoever wrote this memoir, or the other like way around, because they were very similar styles and the information that was given was very similar. So we really didn't learn too much besides like she did have this relationship that we didn't talk about that much in the Netflix documentary, if I'm remembering correctly. So there is that, but I don't know. I don't know if I got anything else out of this or if she got anything out of this book. And I think that's what I look for, is if the author felt something while writing the book. And I don't know if she did. Obviously, I can't say if she did or not, but I just didn't feel that emotional connection with the book that I generally look for with a memoir. So it was fine. I'm not gonna rate it. So we're gonna move on to our next one. I'm okay with going back to a mystery and thriller. I don't want a memoir now. So I really don't want the Sheena Shea memoir. That was one that I do really want to read it because I really want to know what she thinks about certain things because she's a very interesting character on that show on Vanderpump Rules. But we'll see. I'm kind of okay with anything at this point. This is Long Bright River. Okay, I also have a physical copy of this somewhere. I don't know where it is, but that's a chunky one. And this one even has its own show. So maybe I'll watch the show after I read the book and we can talk about that as well. We'll see. I don't know if I have enough time to do that, but we're going to move on to Long Bright River. I think it's a crime book. Like, it's not just mystery thriller. It's like crime. Like, you're following, I think, a female PD, I think. Because I think Amanda Seyfried is the one that's in the show. So we're going to see what that is. But yeah, so far this is going fine. It's going fine. It's kind of reminding me of why Everand was kind of iffy for me because I was getting things that I wasn't sure about when I really should have just like rented them from Libby and just waited, and I was paying for something I really didn't need to be paying for. So that being said, we're gonna go attempt Long Bright River. We are down another book. We are actually gonna be DNFing Long Bright River, which I wasn't expecting. However, this is nothing against the book. This is a personal taste thing. So I'm getting really good at especially mystery thrillers about telling which ones I'm actually going to enjoy and which ones I'm not going to enjoy. I don't think this will be anything higher than a 3-star. This is definitely one of those more literary fiction mysteries, kind of like think God of the Woods. It's very vibey like that way. Totally different like things happening, but the vibe is very similar. This is definitely going to be more about family and the family drama, and it's actually a sister story and a story of addiction. It's also very, very dry. I definitely much more prefer having a more, they don't even have to be personable, but someone who I like can feel an emotional attachment to in a mystery thriller. That's like how I tend to enjoy it more. This is so detached from a main character. It's very, like I said, it's very, very dry. I know I'm not gonna like this book. So unfortunately, I am gonna DNF this pretty early. Like, it's only been a couple of chapters, but I'm not enjoying it like at all. And I just don't, this is not a book that I would have picked up. I wish I had been able to read like a sample of this, because just reading the first 2 chapters, I would have been like, oh, this isn't for me, which is sad because I really love police procedurals, but not this style, unfortunately. So I'm going to be DNFing Long Bright River. I don't think, again, nothing against it. It's just you have to like a more literary slow mystery to enjoy this one. And I don't. This is not going great, guys. Again, this is why I canceled Everand, because there was no need to get these books and be spending money on this subscription when I'm not even like ending up reading a lot of the books. So this is great. This is actually working out even better than I was expecting. I'm just really sad that we've had 2 DNFs and then a fine book. And of course the 2 DNFs are books that I actually physically own. Figures. So next up we have, I have no idea. Like, I wrote the list of what was in here and then I completely forgot. Modern Divination, this is the one that I wanted to pick. So this is actually, we're not going to talk too much about it in this video. So we're not going to talk about it too much in this video because it's actually part of the reading all of my September book box books. So I actually do need to read it because that's the video that I'm on. So I'll just give you kind of my like general thoughts on it, and then we'll leave more of the review and more of the updating for that video. So you'll barely see this in this video, but I will tell you what I thought about it in my rating. So let's go read Modern Divination, which is actually really funny because I have the indie version, but then I also got the Alcrate. Go figure. Shouldn't have done that. But I do know that it was like rewritten, not rewritten, but it was like edited. It was heavily edited. So when I found that out, I was like, oh, I don't want to read the indie version because the author edited it to make it better. So I would like to read the updated version. So if I like it, I'll keep both versions. If I don't like it, I'll get rid of both versions. If I'm okay with it, I'll probably get rid of the indie version. We are back already. It's only been a couple of hours. And unfortunately, I am DNFing this. Wow. I'd rather finish You're Fatally Invited than read any more of this because I've never disliked a main character more than this. And I have already talked about this. I already filmed my clip for the September reading all my book boxes. So I'm not going to go into depth with this. I'm just going to say I DNF'd it. Really hated the main character. Probably one of the worst perspectives I've ever read from. I hate this character. I hate this character and I don't understand her motivations. And I legitimately despise her, and not in like a fun way. not a fun way. So I'm gonna leave it at that. I showed it in the other clip too, but super upsetting. Like, and I love this edition even more. Very upsetting. I really like this edition, and I don't really want to get rid of either one of them, but you know, if it's not good, it's not good, and that's kind of where we're at. So let's pick the next one. Oh my gosh, this is going really badly. This is going so badly. Again, kind of still proving my point with Everand is I really didn't need to have it, because I didn't need to be paying money for books that I'm not reading, which I think I said the exact same thing in the other clip, but I don't know how many. We're down a lot. Like, we don't have that many left. So we have our next choice. Please, please be good. Please, please, please be good. Did I have it upside down? The Writing Retreat. Interesting. We've had this book for quite a while, and people either love it or hate it. So we're gonna see if it's at all better than You're Fatally Invited. I'll probably enjoy it. I just want something fun. I want something just my brain is just gonna enjoy reading. Right now, that is a major struggle after the disaster with Modern Divination. So we're gonna go try to read The Writing Retreat. We've officially finished our next book. We've actually finished a book, which is really exciting. We finished The Writing Retreat. I'm giving it 3 stars. It is definitely not my favorite mystery thriller. I get the discourse surrounding this one. I get people hating it. I get people loving it. I understand. I definitely fall in the middle because I do like what it tried to do. I like how weird it got. I don't think it's as shocking or as weird as everybody says it is, though. I think I'm a little confused because I feel like I read so many things about how insane this book is. The plot takes a wild turn. I figured out the twist in the first like 20 pages. I was like, oh, this is what's happening. Like, this is obviously what's happening. I don't know if I've just read too many books, I've watched too many movies, but like this plot line I've read so many times already. So I am a little bit confused where the, oh my gosh, this is the most shocking thing I've ever read in my entire life comes from. But that's just me. I mean, I don't know. I'm starting to think I watch too many movies and watch too many TV shows, because I feel like every time I pick up a thriller lately, it's, oh, just watch that. Just watch that in a movie. And I feel like that's how I felt with this as well. So I did not think this was a twisty book, but I did think it was fun. I thought it was fun. I thought it was very backstabby. There was a lot more sex in here than I was expecting. Like, I looked at reviews after I finished it and it was like, this is an erotic thriller. And I was like, yeah, I kind of see that. Not like intensely erotic, but there was way more scenes than I was expecting. I was kind of like, oh, didn't know that was in here. But this is following our main character who ends up getting picked for this exclusive writing retreat, and she meets other writers there. But the big point of this is her ex-friend has been also invited to this, and it's absolute chaos. It's chaos with this friend. For me, like I said, it's not very twisty. It's fine. It is not the most original book that I've ever read. I have read books like this exactly before. So for me, it's a 3. I was entertained. I was able to finish the book. It's not my favorite. So I feel like middle ground is perfect for this. So another one bites the dust. Another book of the month down, which is really exciting. So that's one less book in the book of the month purges that we have to do that I've still got to finish because I'm almost done. I'm almost caught up in my book of the month, even though I just ordered like 4. I wasn't gonna order any, and then I don't know what happened. I was supposed to not like buy any books in January, and yeah, that happens. But anyway, we gotta pick our next one. I think we're down to like 4 books. I really want the Sheena Shea book at this point. I think I now like want to break from fiction, and I kind of want to listen to the memoir. I want to see what she says in her book, because I know there's some drama in there with her relationship with Brock. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, Sheena Shea was no longer, was on the show Vanderpump Rules. Vanderpump Rules is like one of my favorite shows ever. I don't know why. I watched every single season multiple times. And I am currently watching the new season with the all new cast. And I actually am enjoying it. I didn't like the first 2 episodes. I'm actually really liking it now. I think it took a little bit for it to get like interesting, but it's like a new cast. They're trying to figure out what the dynamic is. So I think they've kind of figured it out. I don't know if it will get renewed because I've heard the ratings are really bad for it. but I'm having a good time with it, so I hope it gets renewed. I want to read her book because she goes over stuff like with Brock, her husband, and kind of all the drama with that and some other ththings. So I would like to read the Sheena Shea book. It's also very short, and I want to go around and clean the house today, so I think that would be good. I don't really want to read any of the other ones right now. I think, funny enough, I think I own the rest of the book. So How to Be a Dark Lord or Die Trying, I think, is over there. I have The Woman in Suite 11. I actually wouldn't mind picking that one up. And then, like I said, the Sheena Shea book I don't own. I don't plan to buy that book. And then there's one more. I think it's another thriller. There's one. What is the other one? I don't remember. I'm gonna laugh when we get the other one. But we're down to those 4. We're almost done. We're doing it. We're doing the thing. Here is the next pick. Yeah, there's 4 in here. So we have, oh, it's the one I didn't want. How to Become the Dark Lord or Die Trying. I don't really want to read this right now. Do I just put this back in here? It's like the only one I didn't want to read. So I'm gonna pick another one. I'm gonna pick another one just because that's not the one I want to read right now. And we'll stick to whatever this one is. Unless the 4th book is I really don't want to read it because I don't remember what it is. Woman in Suite 11. Do I want to read this? I said I wanted to read it, but I just read the mystery. What else do we have? I'm just going to check really fast. We're going to do the Dark Lord. We're going to do the Dark Lord one and see how I feel about it. My Good Side, that's the Sheena Shea. And then what is this? Bat Eater. I forgot. Okay, I'm okay with doing Bat Eater last even because it's actually for a different video. It's for rereading books. So I wouldn't mind doing that one last. You know what? No. Okay, you know what? This is bad. See, I'm showing you everything though. I put them all back in here. We're gonna try one more time. We're gonna try one more time to repick. Whatever I pick is what we read no matter what it is. I'm showing you everything, the whole behind the scenes, so you know that I'm honest when I pick stuff. I ain't gonna try to mess with things. Okay, here we go. I'm just gonna do it in front of you guys. Yes, my Good Side. Okay, we got the Sheena Shea book. So we're gonna go read the Sheena Shea memoir, which could be a disaster. Oh, if she's reading it. Oh, God, her voice is so annoying. I hope she's not reading it, but I have a feeling she's reading it. If I know her personality from the show, if her personality is anything like she is in the show, she will be reading that memoir. There's no way she'd miss that opportunity. So we're going to go listen to, oh, I'm not going to be able to speed it up either because she's got like a squeaky voice already. Oh, this could actually be painful. We're going to go attempt to read My Good Side by Sheena Shea and see what she talks about. It was later today and I have finished My Good Side. It was like a 5-hour audiobook. It was super fast and I did listen to it at like 2.5 speed because even though Sheena Shea does have a really high voice, she also apparently talks really slow in this audiobook, so I zoomed through it. I'm definitely not giving it a rating. It was not a 5-star, so like I said earlier in the video, I don't rate memoirs or nonfiction that are, well, I guess I do rate nonfiction depending on the topic, but I don't rate memoirs unless they're a 5-star for me because that just doesn't feel fair. I also think people are really mean about this memoir. I don't think it was that bad. Like, it's got like a 3.1 and most of the comments are like troll comments, which is like stuff she talked about in the book. So I feel like half of the people didn't actually read it. They just like saw she put out a book and gave it a 1-star and said, I hate Sheena Shea. And like, that's so rude. Like, literally, that's so rude. If you have a valid criticism for the book, you give it a 1-star valid criticism because there's a ton of criticism for this book, then that makes sense. But the criticism that I saw was just, it was stupid. It was really stupid. And they're acting like the bullies that Sheena talked about in her book. And it's like, yeah, I like Sheena more than you because like at least give actual criticism instead of just panning it because you don't like the way her voice sounds or you don't like her on a TV show. So that being said, I do think there were some really good aspects of this book and some not so great aspects of this book. And nothing was like bad. It wasn't a bad book. Unfortunately, I do think it showed her not narcissism, but if you've never seen Vanderpump Rules, Sheena Shea is kind of known as the gullible, pick me, please everybody like me, I will do anything to make everybody like me type of character. And unfortunately, this book reads very similarly to that. So I was hoping for a lot more reflection over things that happened during the show or events in life, and reflected more on how she dealt with stuff and maybe her, like what she would have done differently or stuff like that. And unfortunately, I don't think there was a single moment in this book where she took any type of responsibility for anything. Like, there was a lot of, this happened to me, I couldn't deal with it, I didn't do anything to deserve this, and for me. And again, a lot of the situations are, she didn't do anything to deserve the situations, but it would have been nice to see a deeper reflection on some of the things. So, for example, if you guys don't know anything about Vanderpump Rules, I'd probably just go to the next book. But, for example, there's a big thing in Vanderpump Rules where she got married. She got married, her husband turned out to be an addict, and there was a massive point of contention in the show where she wanted Shay to be sober, but basically like California sober. She didn't want him taking the pills. She wanted him to just be able to drink casually. And at this point, it was very obvious to everybody that he had an alcohol and drug problem. And she says the quote on the show, "I don't think I could ever be with someone who's totally sober." And it's a massive, massive point of contention in the show. And it caused a lot of backlash. She had to talk about it at the reunion, all this stuff. She didn't touch it at all. She talked about her relationship. She talked about his addiction. She talked about all the bad, terrible things he was doing. She never talked about her own actions during their relationship, and specifically that moment. That would have been a great moment to have a whole section on, to reflect on and say, hey, I didn't know anything about being sober. I didn't understand it. I didn't think it was something. I've never been around it. I've never watched anything about it. I didn't know how to cope with it. I was already dealing with thinking he was going to leave me. I was scared if I forced him into being sober that he'd leave me. And this was just how I was coping with it. I would have loved to see her reflect upon that. And she did a little bit in the reunion. But the fact that she skipped over that whole conversation, but talked about everything else that he did wrong, shows to me that she has not learned anything from that incident. That would have been an absolute perfect moment. And then you also had like her affair with, so the whole show opens up with her having an affair previously with a married man. The first episode is her getting bullied by the other girls. She didn't know the guy was married, blah, blah, blah. That was like a big thing in the very first season. And she does not really reflect upon her part in that relationship either. Like, she talks about actually how she specifically went to the tabloids and lied to make him seem even worse because she was mad that he was having an affair on her as well as the wife. So like, he was having an affair with two women and was still with his wife, and she was mad that there was another woman on top of that. She went to the press and made it seem even worse than it was, which was already really bad. And she didn't seem remorseful really much about, like, she said, oh, I wasn't really thinking about his wife and his kids, and that was it. And it was like, okay, again, this is a really good moment that you could have reflected on and said, oh, like, this is how I reacted to things, blah, blah, blah. She could have done a lot more of that as well. Not a single moment did she really talk about any of her bad behaviors on the show. She really didn't. So I had a big problem with that. She really didn't reflect on anything about her. She mostly focused on things that made her look better, which is unfortunate. So I don't think she really learned anything from her time on the show. It feels like a bit of a narcissist wrote this book, and that is how she comes off on the show. So it does seem like her show personality is potentially her actual personality. I do appreciate that she talked about OCD. There was a season where she has postpartum OCD. It's really, really bad. She goes over that a lot. That was actually really good. That probably helps a lot of people to read that and know they're not alone. I enjoyed that. It also ends the book talking about her husband having an affair. And it's just, it's weird. It's weird to hold on to it for so long and then end your book with it. And she opened the book saying, I'm going to talk about all these things and also like a thing that I've never talked about before, and then makes it so it's the very last thing in the book. It feels performative in a way that is a little icky. It feels exploitative, almost as if this book would not exist if she did not have that affair in there. Because at this point, revealing that affair, you don't have a show anymore. It's in the past. It's not something that's going to get brought up ever again, probably. The fact that she's throwing that in there does feel more detrimental to her husband and her child than helpful for her own sake. And I don't know if it's because then she goes on and she talks about, this is why I was crying all the time in the last season. It wasn't actually about this. It was about the affair and this and this and this and this. Again, this is a memoir. There's no spoilers. Like, this is all in the news. And it feels weird because it feels like she is just trying to save face with this reveal and say, well, no, I actually wasn't upset about this thing that everyone thought I was upset about. No, it was actually this thing. So I'm sure there's like a major aspect of her wanting to tell people and like just wanting it to be out there and feel a relief from it, but there's a large portion of it that feels very performative, unfortunately, how she did it and how she tells the story. So yeah, I have very mixed feelings about this book, which I'm not super surprised about. Sheena Shea is a very mixed character on the show as well. Some seasons I loved her, some seasons I wanted to shake her and say, what are you doing? Other seasons I despised her. And so I'm not surprised that her book also had me feeling the same way. So it's funny how I think this is the longest review out of all the books, is the Sheena Shea book. So anyway, we've got 3 left. Bat Eater, Woman in Cabin 11. You can probably hear my husband, he's playing games right now. It's late at night. Woman in Suite 11. Is that what it is? Because I don't remember. Women in something 11, and then we also have the Dark Lord book. I'm not gonna do like what I did last time and be an absolute psychopath. We're just gonna pick what we have and we're gonna read it. Because I've gotten through so many things, I do have more time to take my time on some of these. So that's good. We have Bat Eater. Bat Eater. So that means I'm starting this vlog as well, which is really fun. So Bat Eater is what we're going to be reading. My relationship with this book is complicated. I got this book in Evernight, started reading it, wasn't super vibing with it, thought it was kind of boring, and then it got to the scene with spit, and I was absolutely disgusted by it, and I was like, I really think it's boring, and then it gets to the scene and I don't like this, so I think I'm not gonna do it. I also was kind of upset with the fact that it was not marketed as a COVID book, and a lot of people have very contentious feelings about when I talk about this. Apparently it's really strange because people are like, oh, just like get over it. It's like, So I worked in a hospital during COVID. I actually got licensing to do stuff in a hospital during COVID and then started working in the middle of the pandemic. And so I personally do not love reading books about COVID. I just don't. It's not something I particularly enjoy. So not knowing it was about COVID going into it, I could have probably guessed, but I was not thinking about that. I was thinking that this was just going to be a story, basically the same story, just without COVID. And it was going to be talking about the plights of immigrants to this country and the racism that they face and stuff like that, which is what this book is about. I just didn't know the COVID aspect was there. So when that happened, I was like, oh, I don't think I can do this. I actively don't, because I'm not ready for this. I don't think I can do it. So that being said, I've been told it's not, the COVID connection is not too bad as the book goes on, I've been told. And then the spit scene is like the only one in the book. Like, it is pretty gruesome, but I'm better with other bodily liquids. No, that wasn't good either. It's just not spit. There's more like blood and gore and guts and stuff later in the book, which I'm fine with. It's spit. I don't know what it is, but it's very gross. It's very, very gross. I was actually just watching Heated Rivalry with Alyssa this morning and yesterday, and there was a scene with that, and she knows my aversion, and she was like, oh God, and I'm like, I'm in hell. I am actually in hell right now watching this scene. So I have a massive aversion to spit. I don't know what it is. It just grosses me out. So that's my history with the Bat Eater. But I am hopeful that I will at least enjoy it somewhat for what it's trying to do now that I'm like in a better place to read this. Potentially, I could still just not like it for the writing style. That is always an option. But that being said, we're gonna go attempt Bat Eater and let's see how it goes. So we are down another book. And we are, well, it leaves us two left. That leaves us 2 books left. I did finish Bat Eater. I don't know how Taz finds me so fast. Like, he's like, I leave him sleeping somewhere and then he just appears like immediately. I'm gonna sit here for a second. He's not happy about it, but finish Bat Eater. Like I said, I'm not gonna talk about it too much because it's technically for a different video series that I'm working on this whole year where I'm rereading things that I've already read and I either DNF'd or I didn't like them, and I think potentially I could like them again. So that is actually for the first video of that. So I'm going to talk about more of my thoughts in that video. So in this video, I'm just letting you know I finished the book. That's nice. That was another Everand down. He is fussing. And I gave it a 3-star. So I'm not going to say whether I believe I still should have DNF'd or not. That's going to be for that video. So check that video out when it comes out. But I did give it a 3 stars. So we are moving on to, we are moving on to the next book. So I guess the last 2 books, because I'll just come and update you after I finish the next one. And then we obviously don't have to pick. I can still pick. I guess I still will. Oh, he is like really fighting me. Ow. So we have 2 left. One is the fantasy book. I think I have it. I had it right next to me. I don't know where I put it, but it's somewhere. I might have put it on the ground, but it is like the what is it? How to be a lord and die trying or something like that. That one, which is a fantasy book. It's gonna be like a funny fantasy book. I don't know if it's gonna be for me. And then we have the woman in Suite 11. Yeah, because the first one's Woman in Cabin 10, right? Yeah, so this is the woman in Suite 11. We have both of those. I'm not sure about either one of them. Let's see what we're going to be reading next, which will ultimately decide what we're reading last as well. So we have, it's that one, How to Become the Dark Lord and Die Trying. I do have that physical book. Actually, I had a physical book for most of these. I didn't have Bat Eater, obviously, but I had a physical book for most of these, and I do have the physical book for this one and for the woman in Suite 11. So we're going to be reading this one next. I just don't have like the highest expectations for it. I'm worried about the humor. I'm really picky with my humor in books. So I'm hoping it feels more Ready Player One or Magic 2.0 series, that kind of humor, and less of like The Devils or The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy, that like bodily fluid humor. It's not not a fan of. If there's fart jokes, I'm not a fan of that. So hopefully it's more like actual humor and not like cheap shot humor. No, why? No. I have listened to less than a minute of this book, and the first thing that pops up is a poop joke. The first thing that happens is a poop joke, and then right after that is a question about male genitalia, and I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. I'm just sitting here trying to mess with my nails, trying to repaint my nails, and that is the first thing that pops up. I'm gonna give it a half an hour. We'll see if I even make it that far. If it continues this is not gonna go well. This is gonna be a DNF pretty soon if this is what I'm looking forward to, because it's the first thing I said. Like, I literally said, if the humor was like this, I'm not gonna like this. And it's already starting. I think it's the first page. It's the first page, and we got 2 things that I already said absolutely no to. I'm so annoyed, but I'm gonna give it a half an hour. If it keeps up with the jokes, I'm not doing this. It's been less than 20 seconds. I just went back to trying to do my nails, and immediately it starts talking about breasts. Like, immediately, overtly, weirdly sexual, talking about boobs, and I can't do it. I don't care if the rest of the book doesn't talk like this. I am not doing this. I am not doing this. I am done with this. I can't believe it was that fast. Like, I can't believe that we're already that was actually crazy. That was not what I was expecting whatsoever. So this is a DNF. This is a DNF. We're going to move right on to the woman in Suite 11 because this is not my vibe whatsoever. We are finishing up this Everand vlog, unfortunately on a really shitty note, because the last book was The Woman in Suite 11, and this was so bad. It was so bad. I actually really enjoyed the first book, but I do remember in the first book, our main character, Lo, she makes like a lot of really, really dumb decisions. And you know what? This book compounded them by 1,000. I do not understand any of what Lo was thinking throughout this book. I made it pretty far too. I want to say I made it like 190 pages or something like that. Yeah, I'm like all the way over here. I'm like, yeah, 100, oh no, that's not as far as I thought. 155 pages around there. And I really hated almost every second of reading this. So this is following our main character, Lo, is the same character from the first book. And it's taking place like 10 years later after everything that happened in The Woman in Cabin 10. And she's kind of like doing her own thing. And instead of like continuing being this like breakout reporter and all this type of stuff, she has decided to settle down and she got married and has 2 kids. And she's feeling a little unfulfilled right now in life because she hasn't been working in a really long time. And her husband decide like, hey, it's time for you to like get back on the horse. And she gets invited to come to this very exclusive resort kind of thing or hotel. Decides that she's going to do a piece on it, and it spirals from there. A lot of my problem with this book is, number one, it opens up a lot about kids. Like, it really does. Like, it's so much about kids. And the audiobook narrator did a great job of making the kids really annoying, but it was really not fun to listen to, that aspect of it. So I just really didn't care about the fact that she had children. I kind of wish it just had focused on her having become like a career woman in the meantime, and she's been working on all this hard-hitting reporter stuff, and it didn't go the direction that I was hoping for at the beginning of the book. And then it got even worse later in the book when the reveals started, because I thought this was just going to be like her with like a totally new mystery. Oh, I should have read this. Cat and mouse pursuit across Europe. Of course I'm not going to like this. I don't like cat and mouse stuff at all. It's fun in like a movie. I don't like books about it. But it's bringing a lot of the first book into here. Like, a lot. Way more than I thought there would be. Again, I kind of thought this was just gonna be her on another like case, on another weird thing happening at some location that she went to. And I kind of wish there hadn't been that long of like a time difference in between. I don't know. It kind of just did everything I didn't like in a sequel. So you have a massive time jump. It's primarily focused on her as a mother now, which again is not a problem, but it's not generally something I want to read about too much. It's like talking about her as like a washed up writer and stuff, almost as, I feel like anytime you read one of these books, it's, if there's a giant time jump, the woman is always like washed up because she decided to have a family. And it would have been cool if she had kept her lifestyle while also having kids. I feel like it's rare we actually see that in books, so it would have been cool for a little bit of representation with that. You know, it would have been a little bit happier with the mom aspect if we got something a little bit different than what I see in every single other book. And yeah, it's just her going to this thing, reveals happen that relate to the first book, and it's it's like a direct sequel almost from the first book. Just add in like 10 years in between. And so that's not what I wanted. I didn't want an actual sequel. I wanted just her on another case. And that's what I would have really, really enjoyed. And unfortunately, that is definitely not what this was. And like I said, cat and mouse game, not my vibe. So that being said, we're DNFing another book. And we're wrapping this up. I'm done. I actually thought about scrapping this multiple times. However, the purpose of this video is to de-influence myself from using Everand, because I've had Everand for so long. I was getting 3 credits every single month, and I was using them on stuff and then not like reading the books. Or I was, and I wasn't enjoying them, and I was still staying on Everand, when in reality, a lot of these books are like older books, or I've had for a decent amount of time, that I could have got from the library. I could have audiobooked from the library instead of paying for Everand. So this video still did what it was supposed to do. Like, most of the books that I read in this video, I did not enjoy and I did not finish. So why am I paying for a service that gives me audiobook credits and I'm not even liking the audiobooks because I feel impatient enough not to wait for the library book, even though I then don't end up actually reading them. Like, it's been a while. It's been a while. And I can go back through like my history and stuff. A lot of the books that I get on Everand were DNFs. So it's just so like blatant that I need to just learn patience and just go to the library. What a concept. Or use my Libby app for audiobooks. So that's kind of my goal. That's my goal. So I did cancel Everand. We are over Everand. It is one less book subscription thing that we are paying for, which is very much exciting. And I'm sitting here thinking, what are the books that I read or attempted to read in this video? Because normally you guys know I do like a little outro about all the books that we tried to read in the video, and I don't think I can remember all of them, so I'm gonna try to remember as many of them as possible, but I might miss some because there was a lot in this video. So the physical books that I had that we attempted to read, all of these were DNFs, unfortunately. Modern Divination, not my vibe, really didn't like anything about that one. Really, it's not good. You're Fatally Avoided is really boring. It's not my style of mystery thriller, unfortunately. It was very convoluted. I don't like convoluted books. Long Bright River, 100% recommend this to other people. It was not, again, not my style of book. And I'm excited to watch the TV series. I didn't like the grittier vibe of the book, so I didn't continue. And then, like I just said, The Woman in Suite 11, we are DNFing because it's just really bad. It's really bad. It's really boring. Don't like the characters, like especially don't like the characters, like even less than I did when I read the first book. So I'm not gonna continue reading. I'm not doing that in 2026. I'm gonna try to get as few worse books as possible. I just like not reading books that I'm not enjoying. Like, what a concept. But you know, sometimes I forget that halfway through the year and then I just start finishing books I shouldn't. So anyway, the other things that we read the Sheena Shea book, My Good Side, which I didn't rate because it is a memoir. I didn't give it a 5 stars, so that one was fine. It was fine. I talked about it already. Then we read The House of My Mother, which again I didn't rate. It was a memoir. Then we very quickly DNF'd the Django Wexler book. Ugh. How to Become a Dark Lord and Die Trying, something like that. Ooh, no, that was not the vibe. And then was that? I don't think that's it. 1, 2, 3. That was 4 here. I mentioned another 3. I think I'm missing 2. I'm missing 2 books. Did I actually finish any more? I don't think I finished anymore. I think the 2 memoirs were like the only. Oh, the Writing Retreat. I don't know where it is. It should have been in the stack with the physical books. The Writing Retreat we finished. We gave a 3 star. And that's weirdly the winner of this video. It was fine. And then I think there's one more, but I don't remember what it is, which doesn't like bode super well for that book. So I think I'm just gonna wrap it up there. So I got what I wanted out of the video. I was hoping we would have read a lot more and had more higher rated books, but I did have a lot of fun with the memoirs. So at least there's that. And like I said, we have canceled a subscription, which has been weighing on me for months because I just kept not getting rid of it, and that was on me. That's obviously my fault because I just kept getting more and more books and not listening to them. So we are done with Everand. Very exciting. I will hopefully not get it back. I'm going to try to use the library, and I have Spotify hours. I'm going to keep those because those are very helpful for YouTube and stuff like that. And I do have Audible, but pretty much all my credits right now are wrapped up in Dungeon Crawler Carl and Matt Dinniman stuff. So anyway, that being said, mixed results with this video. I would do something like this again, hopefully with better, happier results, but still canceling things, so we'll see. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Definitely make sure to subscribe so you miss any future content. Make sure you like the video if you enjoyed it. Make sure you leave a comment down below. I guess, what did we, Writing Retreat? So anything relating to writing, pen, paper, leave one of those emojis if you ended up making it this far in the video. And I think that's all I have for you today, so I'll see you guys in the next one.